Subbuteo is a group of tabletop games simulating team sports such as association football, cricket, both codes of rugby and hockey. The name is most closely associated with the football game, which for many years was marketed as the replica of association football, or table soccer. The Subbuteo name is derived from the Neo-Latin scientific name Falco Subbuteo, after a trademark was not granted to its creator, Peter Adolf, to call the game a hobby. History. The availability of Subbuteo was first announced in the August 1946 edition of the Boy's Own paper. The advert offered to send details of the new game, but no sets were available until March 1947. Also in August 1946, Peter Adolf lodged an outline patent application for the game, which was not finalized until May 1947. After the early adverts, it is rumored orders started to pour in as Adolf set about converting his patent idea into a deliverable product. The first Subbuteo sets, known as the assembly outfits, consisted of goals made of wire with paper nets, a cellulose acetate ball, cardboard playing figures in two basic kits, and bases made from buttons weighed down with lead washes. The story is that Peter Adolf found one of his mother's coat buttons and used wool with buttons for the early set bases. No pitch was provided. Instead, the purchaser was given instructions on how to mark out a playing area onto a blanket. The first sets were eventually available in March 1947, several months after the original advertisement appeared. The first figures were made of flat cardboard cut out of a long strip. Later these card players came in press-out strips before being replaced with two-dimensional celluloid figures, known to collectors as flats. Early production of Subbuteo was centered in Langton Green near Tunbridge Wells, in Kent. Following the advent of the 00 scale players, the player figures were individually hand-painted by local housewives. In its early years, Subbuteo had a fierce rivalry with hockey.The, a similar game that had been invented in 1929 by William Keeling of Liverpool. In the run-up to Christmas 1961, Adolf introduced a three-dimensional hand-painted plastic figure into the range. After several design modifications, this figure evolved by 1967 into the classic, heavyweight figure pictured. hockey ceased trading in 1961 after a failed television advertising campaign, but its demise is thought to be linked to the launch of the molded Subbuteo players. There were several further evolutions of figure design. In 1978, the zombie figure was introduced to facilitate the machine painting of figures. After much negative feedback, the zombie figure was replaced in 1980 by the lightweight figure, as shown in the second picture. That continued until the 1990s. The game was very popular until it suddenly stopped production. The brand was initially relaunched by Hasbro, who for a short time produced flat, photorealistic card-style figures on bases, rather than three-dimensional figures. In 2012, Subbuteo returned to the shops with the new style three-dimensional rubber figures, launching Subbuteo into its 8th decade of production. Subbuteo also made other things for the collector, such as stands to create a stadium, cups, crowds, policemen, and much more. The game. Playing Subbuteo is a physical simulation of association football, involving dexterity and skill in flicking the playing figures, which stand on weighted bases, across the tabletop pitch towards the ball. What makes the game different from most other tabletop sports games are the hundreds of team kits and accessories. While most games feature only two teams, Subbuteo has several hundred team designs, almost all representing real teams, with the notable exception of comic book legends Melchester Rovers. While there were many famous teams such as Chelsea, Manchester City, and Real Madrid, these were complemented by many unique sides, such as Boston Minutemen, Landskrona, Antwerp, Hartford Bicentennials, Admira Wacker, and even unpainted models. There are also many additional accessories, such as new balls and goals, special figures for free kicks and throw-ins, stands and crowd, linesmen, ball boys, streakers and policemen, floodlights, TV cameras and even a mini Her Majesty the Queen to present the FA Cup. Subbuteo has more than one competitive circuit, one of which is known by the term sports table football governed by FISTF. In 1992 there was even an attempt to have Subbuteo made an Olympic sport. Rules of Subbuteo. The rules of Subbuteo table football attempts to correspond as closely as possible with association football. However, the necessary simplifications involved in some ways complicate things further. Players maintain possession as long as the figure they flick makes contact with the ball and the ball does not subsequently hit an opposing figure, although the same figure cannot be used for more than 3 consecutive flicks. Shots at goal can be taken only once the ball is over the shooting line, a line parallel to and equidistant between the goal line and halfway line. The goalkeeper figures are attached to, and maneuvered with, a rod that fits underneath the back of the goal. The offside law is in effect, but only pertaining to figures that are forward of the opposing team's shooting line. In popular culture, in the episode The Big Lockout, from British sitcom Black Books, Manny fails to hear the disarming code for the new security system after being distracted by a Subbuteo player in the installer's hair. A 1988 miniseries, Playing for Real, told the story of a fictional Subbuteo team called Real Falkirk and starred Patricia Kerrigan as its player-manager. The 1997 British film Fever Pitch features a scene in which Paul and Steve are seen playing and discussing Subbuteo, with one player playing as the 1989 Arsenal FC team, and the other playing as a classic Arsenal team from 1971. British band Half Man Half Biscuit wrote a nostalgic tribute to Subbuteo on their album titled All I Want for Christmas Is a Duck La Prague Away kit. It is common for fans of the band to wear old-fashioned Duck La Prague Away kits at the group's gigs. So he sent his doting mother up the stairs with the stepladder to get the Subbuteo out of the loft. He had all the accessories required for that big match atmosphere, the crowd and the dugout and the floodlights, too. And you'd always get palmed off with a headless centre forward, and a goalkeeper with no arms and a face like his. And he'd managed to get hold of a Duck La Prague away kit, cause his uncle owned a sports shop and he'd kept it to one side. Northern Irish band The Undertones reference Subbuteo, and in particular the tricky skill of flicking your players correctly. In their hit song, My Perfect Cousin, he always beat me at Subbuteo, cause he flicked a kick and I didn't know. Oh my perfect cousin. Massive Attack referenced Subbuteo in their 1991 song, 5-Man Army. When I was a child I played Subbuteo on my table, then I graduate to Studio One in the episode The Labrador of the 2011 series of Outnumbered Pete. Attempts to bond with his son Jake by playing him in a game of Subbuteo. In May 2013, the Cambridge City Council proposed that a 2-metre statue in the form of a Subbuteo referee be installed on Parker's Piece to mark the 150th anniversary of the publication of the 1863 Football Association rules and Parker's Piece's association with it. The proposal was subsequently rejected in June 2013. The creator of the web series Zero Punctuation, Ben Yahtzee Croshaw, occasionally refers to Subbuteo as an entertaining aside in comparison to having fun. In the early 1990s British comedy The British Empire, the main character, Gordon Brittas, has his feet set in concrete in the episode Set in Concrete. While attempting to break him out with a sledgehammer, his secretary Julie remarks, "I know what you remind me of. Put you in a pair of shorts, and we'd all be set for a game of Subbuteo."